I was supposed to be wearing this jersey in Amherst, Massachusetts tonight. But once I heard that the PWHL was having the first New York home game ever, I canceled those plans. Never bought a ticket to that UMass-UConn hockey game and decided to drive down from Hartford to Bridgeport, Connecticut to witness history yet again. I was there 6 years old at the last Whalers home game. I was there when the Wolfpack came that inaugural season shortly after. I was there when the Whale Bowl happened at Rensselaer Field. I've been there to support the PHF, and I have seen the rivalry series in Hartford. This is another moment in Connecticut hockey history, even though it's Team New York, shout out to the Yankees, that I had to see for myself. So I am here in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and I am happy to see history tonight. In early 1998, when I was 7 years old, I remember watching the Winter Olympics from Nagano, Japan, and the USA women's hockey team winning that first ever gold medal in the Olympics for women's ice hockey. It was a big moment, and it showed that not only can these women play hockey so well, this thing was only going to keep growing. And I won't talk about the times Canada actually got lucky and beat the U.S. women. But over time, it really was a fun thing. Eventually, the rivalry series came on my radar. But then the pandemic hit. And when the pandemic hit, I remember going to a Zoom hosted by the Penguins and the Black Girl Hockey Club. And on that Zoom, I heard and got to hear the stories of Sarah Nurse and Anya Packer. And after just listening to their journeys, I then had some questions for them. I had some questions that I wasn't able to ask directly to the panelists, but for Sarah Nurse, I had a question as a UConn Husky diehard fan
since I was a kid. I saw Kia play back in 2016 a couple times at Gamble Pavilion. Was wondering what is like being part of a family where you have multiple generations of athletes. And then for Anya, congratulations to you and your wife on the future child that you guys will bring into the world. But I did have a question about the CT Well. Born and raised in Connecticut, still in Hartford County. I was wondering if you guys were planning to have a game, a neutral site, or just a home game be pulled to Hartford County. I know you guys have played in Danbury and Stamford, I believe. But I was wondering if you could bring it up to Hartford County, the Connecticut Polar Bears, the Connecticut Northern Lights, the Connecticut Clippers. When I was growing up, these were premier women's youth hockey programs. So we have a great history. Simsbury High School has a women's high school hockey team. They've had it for about over a decade. So I was wondering if it was possible to bring what you guys have in Fairfield County over to Hartford County, because there's a lot of fans of hockey in general, men or women's hockey. So I just was wondering if that was a possibility. But thank you guys so much. Hope you guys have a wonderful night.
And so after the Zoom that I had with the Penguins and Black Girl Hockey Club, I began to follow Sarah Nurse and what she was doing, representing the Canadian Olympic team. Saw her play against my beloved Team USA women, and Canada won. They got lucky. In Hartford, it was a great game, though. And I saw physicality and speed in person, and it was dope. But I also started to watch the National Women's Hockey League, which eventually became the PHF. I found out my brother's teammate growing up, Brooke Waleko, who I remember when her and my brother were so little in mites playing, and I knew Brooke's mother, and her mother knew my parents very well from all those road trips in mites and squirts. But I then found someone that I knew from my town playing in the PHF. And so I became a fan of the Connecticut Whale and supported them through the pod, the pandemic pod, and then eventually they got out to playing games with fans, and I went to a game in Connecticut here. But that would set me up for some things. First off, just being able to see how great these women were talent-wise. Second off, the PHF had salaries that were beginning for most people to be living. You had six-figure contracts being signed. You had merchandise that was amazing. And a percentage, when I bought my Brooke Waleko jersey, Brooke got a percentage of that purchase. And you had logos like the Connecticut Well logo, the Metropolitan Riveters logo, that were cool and unique and really were things that you wanted to buy. And then I ended up seeing Soraya Tinker through the Black Girl Hockey Club. Even though I was a CT Well fan, I bought a Soraya Tinker jersey to support her. And that standard of branding and marketing and how those Twitter accounts and social media accounts reacted to us as fans, it set a standard that when the PHF would be absorbed by the Professional Women's Hockey League ownership group, it would change how I viewed the start of the Professional Women's Hockey League in the summer of 2023. And I don't know what's true and what's not, but the idea was, from what I heard, that the Professional Women's Hockey League did not want to retain any of the logos from the PHF. And to me, I was like, why not? Like the Boston Pride, the Metropolitan, you could call them the New York Riveters, or change it to Liberty. I was like, hey, this league had a great foundation as far as merch and items that fit everyone, all shapes and sizes. So why not continue that legacy? So the rumor was they just said, we don't want any of these old names. And then as time went on, we're like, okay, what's the new names going to be? And some names leaked. I don't know if they are legit or not, but these names were cringeworthy. I'm going to keep it 100. They were cringeworthy. So I was frustrated with this new league because I'm like, you're abandoning everything that the PHF had. There are girls that now don't have contracts that are valid because the league has been sold. The PHF, the people in charge of that sold it. So, that it is what it is. But I started before any hockey was played in the Professional Women's Hockey League. I was very upset at the lack of marketing, the lack of clarity. When are these games going to be played? Where are they going to be played? And, I made a video, you see it here on my channel, about, hey, these are why these venues were picked. You don't have Team New York in Manhattan. You don't have Team Boston in Boston. You have Toronto in a smaller venue than, to me, the demand of that team. But these are ultimately sacrifices that had to be made to get the players on the ice so quickly. And all of my concerns, all of my frustrations, even the merchandise didn't have as many sizes and feels that everyone could feel they could buy something in their size. Even with all of that frustration, I honestly I almost made another video complaining. As soon as I walked into the venue on Friday, January 5th, all the concerns, all the frustrations or worries I had about the league evaporated before I even got to my seat. When I tell you I got to the venue to watch warm-ups and the line for the merch was wrapped around the corner of the building, the jerseys sold out before, I think, game time. And you had so many people excited for the merch. Look at that line right there. As much as I wish they had team logos, at the end of the day, the fans were buying the merch. They were excited. They were young boys and girls that got Team New York merch. And that's what matters more than even my concerns of having from day one the same type of various options in revenue sharing that the PHF had. So as I go down and check out warm-ups and I hear the introductions of the coaches and players, there were so many players and coaches that I had gotten to know over the last 3 to 4 years since the pandemic that now we're all in this same arena in one way or another. Anya Packer, who was on that 2020 Zoom call that I talked about earlier, she's in the stands with her son, Waylon, cheering on her wife, Madison Packer. And Madison Packer, she'll go down. When we look back, she was one of the best players in the NWHL/PHF, won titles, was a captain for the Metropolitan Riveters. We then see again Anya, her wife, in the stands, who she was instrumental in the Players Union as executive director, and then was the GM of the Riveters right before this league then was absorbed to make the Professional Women's Hockey League. So they're both there. Sarah Nurse, from that Zoom call, who I got to learn about and started following what she was doing, she was on PWHL Toronto, and I love Sarah Nurse. Her family is amazing from what I've seen, the behind the scenes stuff she shares. Shout out to Roger Nurse. And but I always have to root against her. I rooted against her when she came to Hartford in the rivalry series, and I'm rooting against her in Toronto. But I hope one day I'll be able to cheer her on in some capacity. But she was there. And then you have Colton Orr. He was the coach of the Connecticut Whale. He also was an NHL player who was a fourth liner who was always fighting and an enforcer. You can just look up Colton Orr fight, and you'll see some of his legendary battles against Donald Brashear and some other guys who, listen, I don't want to ever be in a fight with even now. So he was a coach of the Connecticut Whale, helped them get to the finals of the PHF. And they had the last 2 years of the Whale, they were really good. They had some great runs, and they couldn't get that title, but he's there now as an assistant coach for PWHL New York. So they're incorporating PHF personnel. They're incorporating the Olympic players for Canada and USA and even other Olympic teams. And so it's a great intersection of everything I had kind of been learning about over the last couple of years leading up to this league. So one of the great things about this opening week and the first home openers from these teams in the PWHL, you're seeing some NHL stars come out. Patrice Bergeron was in Lowell, Mass for the PWHL Boston home opener. And here in Bridgeport, Connecticut, I witnessed Aaron Ashram. He was on the Islanders for some of his playing time. I also remember him on the Flyers. And then you had the legendary Stanley Cup winner, Adam Graves, who was a part of that 94 Cup team. Now it's 30 years. Wow, that's time flies. But he was on that team, and he came out. So they had representation from the Rangers and representation from the Islanders. both those local NHL teams had a retired player come out and support what this great league is doing to start up something truly special. And next up, we're actually going to get into some of my observations of the actual play on the ice, which again washed away all the concerns I had about this league. And let's get into that. So this is the best pace that I've ever seen for a women's hockey league, right? The Olympics are great. The rivalry series is great, but this league has the best of what is around. And you look here, the way they're carrying this puck into the zone. You're going to see in a second right here, the forecheck of Toronto really stops New York right here. Boom. No, you ain't going to get away with that. Stops around. Look at it. Look at how both forecheckers are right on there. And watch, you're going to get a turnover right here, which is going to turn into a scoring chance for Toronto. And here you get a puck that slides all the way through to the zone. You're going to get some play here where they're battling. And again, before you know it, the puck is moved down, dump and change. Toronto is going to regroup. And when you look at this regroup as they break it out of the zone, Toronto has some speed here. And boom, then it's turned over. So I was really impressed with the pace of this game. The chemistry that's already being developed. Some of these players have never played with each other. Some of them have. Some of them have been enemies and they're on the same line. The USA and Canada rivalry series, they were on opposite sides. So it's great to see just the pace of this opening week. And you know they're going to continue to get better as they build more and more chemistry and as they get more games under their belt. You're going to see some of the athleticism here. Watch this. So New York has it here. They're going to get it on net. Oh, goes around. Look at the wrap around there. Gets knocked out. And boom, you're going right back at it. Nice board pass. Slides it back. Boom. Almost scores again. And another attempt. And you see the goalie and all these players showing the athleticism that this league is going to offer. And I'm very excited to see more and more of these games. Here you go again. Look at that forecheck. Toronto's forecheck was phenomenal for this game. Now they throw it down ice. All right, they're going to set. But look at how that's back and forth, back and forth. It was just great hockey to watch on a Friday night. Puck slides through. Goes right to the point. And look at that. A nice stop there by. And hey. There's going to be some physicality. Let's get into the physicality of this game. Now, the rule book says you're entitled, if you're stationary, to your area of the ice. But this was not always followed, and I'm okay with that. You are allowed to have body checking in the corners along the boards. And the physical play is not to just beat people up and give concussions. The physical play allows for that aggression and intensity to pick up. And you saw this really enhance this game. Now, this hit right here, I thought it should have been a penalty, but let them play out a little bit. There was no hit to the head. It was a cross check. I thought it should have been called as a PWHL New York fan, but I'm fine with it. Let these girls have that aggression. Let them be able to be physical like the boys, as long as it's respectful, as long as heads aren't being hunted or people aren't being hit from behind. And this has held back women's sports in general. And it's mostly men making these decisions. I think about women's lacrosse and all of the concussions that every year happen because men at the leadership positions don't want them to wear helmets because they're going to be too rough. I want these ladies to be able to have that aggression, and it translates into the faster pace. It translates into that competitive nature and desire that you're allowed to be fierce. You don't have to tone it back or say, sorry, I'm not going to hit you. At the Olympic level, they let some stuff slide. I've seen a rivalry series game, and I watched the Olympics. They let more slide in the Olympics, and I hope they still continue to allow this physical play as long as, again, there's not head hunting, there's not hitting from behind, and they did call the slashes all game. When people slash or did things that you're going to hurt someone's knees, those things are being called. But I'm fine with them letting these ladies play, and I think all women's sports needs to be able to be open to this level of competition and aggression. All right, so let's run through some of the goals. This is the first ever PWHL New York goal at home. And they're back in the New York swing, which is the goal horn music here. And great to see this. Abby Rourke always ready to get the puck in the net, and you see it right here. Shout out CT Well, jerseys right there. Yeah, long live the whale. And here we go. Look at that. That backhand off the boards. It gets it in the zone. All right. Gonna beat the Toronto defense, and boom, Abby is right there. New York, New York got the puck in the net. You love to see it, and very great, skillful play in front of the net. Toronto was scoreless on New Year's Day, so this is the first ever PWHL Toronto goal ever. And of course, are you shocked that Sarah Norris got the assist for Natalie Spooner's goal? What else is new? They've been doing this all the time with the Canadian national team. Natalie Spooner just had a baby just about over a year ago, and back to the top level. And this is a beauty of this league. You can have maternity leave paid. You can come back and not have to worry about losing your job, which was a reality for women before we get to this level of paid maternity leave and a decent pay, fair pay. So I was not happy when this happened, but obviously the Toronto fans sighed a big sigh of relief, finally got a puck in the net, and they wouldn't stop there. Obviously they won this game. So here we go in the zone here for Team New York, right to Carpy. Ooh, gets stopped, but the D holds the line, keeps it in the zone. Here we go. It's going to slide down behind the net. Great play. Again, the D stepping in, keeping it in there. And my favorite Pokemon growing up, Magikarp, with the goal right there. Alex Carpenter with the goal. We've seen great goals from her in the last couple of months. Let's take a look at another one. All right, so this is in mid-December. Look at that. Team USA handout, one-handed magic carpy ride. I can show you the goal. Look at the sauce that led to it. Beautiful goal. And now let's go back to the game here from Friday the 5th. Boom. One-timer, lots of skill. And again, this is translating to the PWHL. Alex Carpenter already, so far as I record this, has 2 goals in 2 games. So in the PWHL, they have a couple rules that are not in the NHL yet. And the one I love is the fact that a win in regulation is 3 points. A win in overtime or shootout period after regulation is 2 points. And a loss of any kind in overtime or in the shootout is 1 point. This puts more significance to the winning in regulation throughout the season. And it is something I hope the NHL does eventually adopt. Now, the other thing that's big with this league, if you score a shorthanded goal, the team that has the power play loses the power play. This is the first time it would ever happen. Right here, this is history, the first time in the PWHL that a team got a shorthanded goal, thus eliminating the power play they were fighting to kill off. And this puts a risk-reward feature into the game that would be cool in the NHL. I don't know if they're going to do this in the NHL, but I think it's a great idea. I think it should be considered because this was exciting. Even though, again, Team New York, I'm rooting for them. They were the losers of this rule. But I think it would be very cool to at least consider it for the NHL because it's something that really makes it even more thrilling and exciting for teams that have some great penalty killers. So we'll see what happens. Plus, my Flyers are really good shorthanded. So in the NHL side, hey, I would love for them to get some get some opportunities to eliminate power plays by scoring shorthanded as they've done all year. Go Flyers. So for the first ever PWHL game on New Year's Day, January 1st, 2024, Corinne Schroeder was the starter for New York, and she did not play the night I saw her. But what is special about that first game, Corinne Schroeder got a shutout. You know what else she did? When she was in camp with Team Canada last year in 2023, she didn't give up a goal in all of the different scrimmage play. And she didn't make the Canadian national team. Now, as a Team USA supporter, by all means, cut her. Please don't ever have her on the grandest stages. But as someone who really wants to see true competition be shown in a league like this, the best on best on best, people from the PHF formerly, people from the national teams all competing, it's going to allow for players to move up and earn their spots on the national team because they're going to be competing against people already on the team and the best players in the world of women's hockey. This is important because there have been a lot of, I've followed a lot of reporting. I don't know everything. I don't claim to, but there have been people that know this game front to back who have given supporting details and evidence of players who were snubbed from both the USA hockey team, the national team for the women, and the Canadian national women's team that goes out and competes in the Olympics. And Corinne Schroeder, listen, she's getting more evidence to show people that did not pick her for the Canadian national team that, hey, y'all messed up. Y'all looking silly right now because she has the best save percentage in the league. So I think this will be great, and it'll allow for players to develop. It's hard to develop when you're cut from the national team and you are then playing in the PHF or another league, not playing those Olympic players. And there are so many great players that I'm still rooting for in this league, the Professional Women's Hockey League, that were the top of the PHF, and they are seamlessly blending in and being a big factor in some of these games that we are seeing. And I think a former Whale player, Kennedy Marchment, who again, just talented, and she's going to have an opportunity to just continue to show her skills. Madison Packer on that Team New York team, just being able to show, hey, I can hang with y'all. All right, I got it. So this will be great for the future of the sport across all national teams, across this professional league that is just doing so well so far. So in my last video, talking about why the arena choices were where they were, I advocated for Connecticut to get some more love and potentially get a team. And the attendance opening night was not on par with the Canadian markets or with Minnesota's opening night, where they got over 13,000 fans. Sheesh. But I think that the fan base can grow. I think you got to get people in at a discounted rate or for free for a game, and you can sell this league to people across Connecticut. And one thing I know, people think, oh, we got to get more black minorities, and yes, I agree, we do, but also just people in general. There's a lot of white people that just never seen a hockey game. You'd be surprised. Growing up in Connecticut, I've seen it. I've brought white people to their first game. So we have to really, if they're going to stay in Connecticut part-time, I do believe giving out some free tickets and really promoting this to people that have never seen hockey before of any kind, letting them in for free for one game or a couple of games, and then they will buy into this because this is great hockey. But New York, we'll see how the UBS game goes. New York is splitting time between Total Mortgage Arena and Bridgeport and UBS Arena by the racetrack in Elmont, New York. So we'll see how that home opener goes. But I mean, I think we'll see more and more records go. I hope we can get over 13K, get to 14, 15K, even 16K at a neutral site game for this league. But records are being broken in the opening week. But Bridgeport was one of the lower ones. It is a smaller market than the other markets here, even though it is rich. Don't let the crowd fool you. Connecticut is rich with talented girls youth hockey and collegiate hockey, and a lot of the girls were playing Friday night. We have girls high school teams that were playing the night of this opener. So other markets well beyond higher concentration of fans, but Connecticut still loves hockey, and there were many girls and boys of youth hockey jerseys on supporting this opening night. And online, you always get the snarky comments from trolls about, oh, who watches women's hockey, da 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 da. The one thing I'll say, and as a man myself and other men in this barn for the opener for PWHL New York, you saw a lot of support from fathers and from youth hockey boys and teenagers that went to this game, even kids who looked like they were in college. There's a guy with a Leafs jersey on who looked like he was maybe in college or early 20s. And so the stuff you see on the internet does not exist at these games. There's a lot of support for these women from people of all walks, all parts of the state of Connecticut, New Jersey, New York, and even beyond that. And I even was behind a set of hockey dads. One of them has 4 kids, and they're on like 5 or 6 different teams between the fall and spring and high school and all that. But he made a point to get out there to that game with his buddy, and they both went out to enjoy some hockey. I'm sure he had to get back to them 4 kids. But there are a lot of men that support this sport, contrary to what you may see on social media. And of course, the women of all ages, old, young, in between, you could just see how powerful it was for them to finally get this moment. And the fans deserve this and even more. But this is my assessment of my experience at the first game for Team New York at home, and all the concerns I had about the league, the marketing, all that stuff went away when I walked into that barn and saw the lines and saw the excitement. And I wish nothing but the best for this league. I will continue to support this league, and we'll see what will come as time goes on. It's your boy ConserViz34. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you made it to the end, congratulations. You don't have a short attention span. But stay tuned. There'll be more hockey coverage on this channel, not just with the PWHL, but some other trips I'm taking in the hockey world. Thank you guys for watching. Peace. Just realized it's Abby Roque, not Abby Rourke. I messed that up. It's not Ray Bork. She's not even a defenseman. She's a forward. And moving forward, I will pronounce it right. Abby Roque. Abby Roque. Abby Roque. I'm sorry, Abby. I messed up. I take full responsibility. Abby Roque. Also, the caption was a little quick. Soraya Tinker was a NWHL/PHF player. Also won a title with the Toronto Six, and she became a analyst for CBC Sports and all those affiliated networks. So she is there in studio giving us breakdowns of what she knows best, which is hockey. Abby Roque.